Over the years, governments have rolled out policies and initiatives to deal with the problem of access to water and sanitation in Ghana. Earlier this year, the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, AMA, with support from the World Bank, launched the Affordable Toilet Program, aimed at providing families with complete toilet facilities at a subsidized cost of 1,100 and 600 cedis. Now, over the weekend, President Akufo-Addo announced the construction for an improved water system for Nalerugu, Gambaga, and Wale Wale, all in Mamprugu, and he said it will begin in September this year. Despite these and many other initiatives, WaterAid, an international non-profit organization involved in providing people with clean water, safe sanitation and hygiene education, says it will take 450 years for every Ghanaian to have access to a toilet. Why is this so? The head of policy advocacy and campaigns at WaterAid Ghana, George York, and communications and campaigns officer at the organization, Kafui Naku, are here with me in studio. Thanks for joining me. Now, these statistics, yeah, great. This statistics we are learning is quite disappointing, especially when you hear of some of the initiatives and policies like I've mentioned here. Why does it seem that even though we are doing so much, we are achieving very little? Let me start with you, Mr. York.
Thank you very much, Berenice. I think you said it right. Most of the interventions that we are doing at the moment are donor-led, and they are on pilot basis. And they normally die at the end of the intervention. So you can talk of the Gamma and whatever project we are having. They are all government-led, and they are just focusing on just a small area in the country. But we don't really have any country-wide strategy that is targeting the whole country. But the SDG is not really measuring only piloted programs. They look at the whole country achievement at the end of the 2030 agenda.
Interesting. Now, to you, ma'am, we have a sanitation ministry now, so you would expect that we would see some improvements. What are you picking on the ground, WaterAid? Are we seeing any improvements?
It's the commitment. The issue is commitment and the political will to do what is supposed to be done. Setting up a sanitation and water resources ministry, it's very good. But then we have to provide the needed funds to roll out the numerous policies we have on improving access to water and sanitation. But without that political will and the added funding, it becomes difficult to roll out the plans and the various policies and the plan strategies that we have.
There's also been this issue of human attitude and how a UNICEF report said the problem is the attitude. And so how do we deal with that, even in trying to get or achieve that goal of ensuring that everybody has access to water and sanitation? How do we deal with the attitude problem?
Yeah, you said it right. It's the issue of attitude. But the attitude issue is there because as a country, we are not enforcing our laws. If I really know that when I commit this offense, I'll be punished, I will not do it. I will change my attitude. But we have a situation where it's like the laws are made for the poor and the marginalized. If you know somebody who is big and you even commit any offense, the person will just call the police or whatever, and that is the end of the case. So until we really promote justice and ensure that no matter your level or your capacity, when you break any law, especially the sanitation law, you'll be dealt with. The country will not move forward. So for me, it's more of attitude issues. It's more of enforcement of our law that we have as a country.
You want to add to?
Yeah, I just want to give an example that they said it's attitude and habits. If we don't provide the facilities or the services for the people, for instance, when it comes to the practice of hygiene, we go around telling people that when you use the toilets, come out and wash your hand, you know, before you touch food or you touch your baby. But if the person hasn't got water, how can the person wash his or her hand? So to be able to practice all these things that we preach, the facilities and the services should be efficient and should be made available to the people.
Now, the way you put it makes it look like a very complex, it's a mixed bag, poverty, access, and all that. But WaterAid, you've been in Ghana for a very long time. Have you seen improvement?
Well, with regards to the MDGs, Ghana made some improvements in the area of water provision, water services, but sanitation is still We are not there at all. We are not there with regards to sanitation. Why? Because a lot of us are still doing it out there at the beaches, in the alleys and all that. Now what we need is to resource the district assemblies, resource them with enough funding to be able to mobilize the communities so that they can build their own latrines that they will use. So if the district assemblies do not have this funding or do not have this resources to engage communities, engage them in hygiene training, and give them ideas or guide them to build their own latrines using materials in their environment, we will still be doing what we are doing. And like you said at the beginning, the projections of WaterAid concerning sanitation and water, based on the JMP, that is the Joint Monitoring Platform of UNICEF and the WHO, it projects that if we continue with business as usual, we will have universal access to water for everyone in Ghana in 2115. And if we continue as usual with regards to sanitation, then 2428, that is when everyone will have a toilet in the house and we'll stop defecating in the open.
That's a long time coming. But your Global Advocacy Director, Xavier Carvalho, is that his name? Now, he believes that there is money around. It's just not being allocated the right way. Do you think this is the same for the Ghana context with regards to dealing with sanitation and access to potable water?
I think it's rightly so. Because when you look at our budget for just 2018, the initial budget was around 184 million. That was the initial budget that was given to the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. And based on the engagement, government had to also commit 200 million additional money. But now, as a country, we are not even aware whether the money has been given to the ministry and what they have even spent the money on. It's not known to the general public. So it becomes very difficult for us to even assess progress so far as we are moving on towards the achievement of the Agenda 2030. But in terms of progress, when you talk of progress, in terms of laws, we have the laws, we have the policies. But we keep on saying that the commitment, financial commitment is not there for us to implement those policies. And even having financial commitment is another way. But even ensuring that whatever we are doing is sustainable is also another dimension of it. So we need to really have a comprehensive approach to the issue that we are having. You talk of issue of attitude, that is very key. You even talk of issue of getting the people themselves involved in the whole process. Normally we make laws, but we sit in Accra here and make laws, hoping that those laws will serve the interests of the people in the very marginalized area, which will not, because the person will not even be aware of the laws. How can they even ensure that they practice whatever we have in the policy? So the whole process of our lawmaking processes and policy formulation processes, as a country, we have to critically look at it and ensure that when we are making laws for people, the people are consulted and they give their opinion on how those laws and policies will serve their interests.
Now, to you, ma'am, how do we make sure that hopefully a year by now, I say hopefully because we keep saying this thing, a year by now, we would come here and be recording some great progress and strides made within the water and sanitation sector, looking at all the things that we're doing as a country?
Yes, we just have to deliver on our promises. We make a lot of promises that by this we will have this. We are going to make sure that every household has a toilet. We have to make sure that we deliver on our promises. We have to make sure that the ministries and the district assemblies are given the required or the needed funding to do what they are supposed to do. And particularly I'm concerned about the district assemblies. We have to, they are more or less the governments in our communities at that level. So if they don't have the power with regards to money, they can't do much with the communities. Here is the case where sometimes the district assemblies don't even have vehicles to go to some of these communities. So they need resources to be able to do that. There are a lot of qualified people who can do the job, but with the resources, they can attract them to the district assemblies to do the job.
Thank you very much, lady and gentlemen, for your time. Well said. What I pick from basically what you've been saying, Head of Policy, Advocacy and Campaigns, George York, at WaterAid, is the need to go beyond piloting and implement real programs. And for you, Madam Kafu Nyaku, Communications and Campaigns Officer at WaterAid, it is to get down to the level, the basic level, decentralized sanitation and water issues. Thank you very much for joining me this morning.
Thank you.
Hosting you. Now, management of Midland Savings and Loans Limited has suspended 7 of its staff who looked on during the assault on a client by a police officer in a video that went viral last Friday. A statement issued Monday by the financial company says all staff who were witnesses to the cruel act and could not restrain the police officer or ensure the safety of Madam Patience Osafo and her 2-month-old grandchild will also be dealt with according to internal disciplinary procedures. There's more in our business segment. Stay with us.